We are live. This is Senate Finance. And we are coming off. I guess we've got one more long bill. We've got the institutions capital bill tomorrow. So, but we're on at 11:30. So hopefully you may have to bring your lunch here. Our agendas are going to be a little fluid because wartime has been fluid, and then we are all it's my intent next week to move almost exclusively to the Ed bill, but I was just told we will not. It was supposed to get voted out today. Tomorrow it looks like it might be next Wednesday. Okay. Because the administration had other things they wanted done in it. We are going to start working on it anyway. And we will do like kind of a walkthrough of the bill because most of it is set. And we'll do a side by side with the House, and then we'll start chunking it off and working on it, starting with the foundation formula. Okay. So I'm going to keep working our way through today. But to start, and in amongst all that, we will work up other bills. I understand our tax credit caregiver bill is coming out today with significant changes. So I may just ask for a committee of conference on that one. And we have had 398 come back to us with a proposal of amendment. So Cameron is here. This is the VITA bill, one of the innocuous little bills we did. I've also been told that we might get the housekeeping bill back. We'll see how the House likes our virtual currency session. Representative Marcotte, when he came to tell me about this morning, wasn't sure how they'd feel about it. So we'll see. Cameron, the floor is yours.
Yes, ma'am. For the record, Cameron Woods, Office of Legislative Counsel. I'm going to walk through a short amendment or proposal of amendment from the House. If you all recall, H 398, as you mentioned, Madam Chair, this is the bill regarding the Vermont VITA, Vermont Economic Development Authority. Most of the amendments to that entire chapter are very technical, small policy. One of the larger changes is the creation of this disaster recovery revolving fund. And if you all recall, it has the VITA has to consult with the Secretary of Ag, the Secretary of Commerce, and then you all added the Commissioner of Forest, Parks and Rec in the event of a non-declared disaster to determine whether or not funds should be available. When the Senate proposal of amendment went back over to the House side, there was discussion amongst the chair and the vice chair of the Commerce Committee about, because there's only $2 million being proposed to go into VITA for this fund, they were concerned about businesses, and the fund is intended to be for all businesses, including agriculture and forest products businesses. So the concern was the fact that there's not a lot of money there, wanting to make sure that if entities were getting financial assistance after a disaster event through some other funding mechanism, that they wouldn't be eligible for these funds as well. So that's what the amendment is.
These are loans or grants.
These are loans.
These are loans.
And so, as you can see here, the draft amendment itself is, concurring a Senate proposal with further proposal of amendment, and it's just adding a subsection E to the end of that disaster recovery loan fund section. Subsection E would say a business shall not be eligible for financial assistance from the disaster recovery loan fund established under this subchapter if the business received disaster recovery financial assistance from the state for the same disaster event. So if it's a different disaster event, it's not going to prohibit them from receiving money. If they're receiving money from the federal government, it wouldn't prohibit them.
Okay, so they're getting FEMA money.
Correct.
Right.
It's just if they're receiving some sort of state provided financial assistance, in response to a disaster event, they wouldn't be eligible for these dollars. Again, I think the primary concern was, there's only $2 million here. And so they wanted to make sure that it was, restricted in that way.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I don't have the full bill in front of me, just the amendment, but this is a loan fund specifically for farms and forests, or is this everybody?
All businesses. So the language was businesses including agricultural enterprises, and then you all added or forest products, and I can pull it up.
Okay, yeah, could you pull that up? And also, I was trying, chatting briefly beforehand. You said this was somewhat inspired by S60, which is the bill that creates the Farm Security Fund to provide grants to farms for losses due to weather conditions. I was trying to pull up the most recent version of that bill because I believe that bill says that, if they get funds from other sources. No, that I think was an amendment on this bill too, but I think it was supposed to take into consideration other sources of funding when they are determining the grant amounts. So it seems to me that this is like overkill because sometimes you're going to need a loan and a grant to be able to recover from a weather event, and you sort of bundle the funds together to try to make
That's
it
what
work.
was happening during the flood.
Exactly.
We're looking at a further loan and they're saying we are so over leveraged right now. No one will take advantage of another loan.
Right, and so sometimes you need to get the grants in order to qualify for the loans. So it just seems to me that this is overly punitive to put these conditions on both of them. And this is, because yes, the other one is 50% of uninsured or otherwise uncovered losses. So it's already taking into consideration in the qualifications for the awards, uncovered losses. So it's a double penalty.
So very quick, just walk through those two things. This is the underlying language in the bill 398. This is what was amended by the Senate. So I just pulled that up real quick. And you have the subsection A. So it's loans and other forms of financial assistance to businesses, including agriculture, forest products, enterprises. That's the scope of who could access the dollars.
Yep.
And then I pulled up S60 real quick, which not by bill, as you all know, this is O'Grady's, but you were referring, I believe, to this section here. So grants shall be in an amount that reimburses for up to 50% of uninsured or otherwise uncovered losses.
Right. So this is already netting out uncovered losses. So if you get a loan to cover a loss, it would already be taken into consideration what you're able to get from that fund. So.
And I don't know what the amendment is, if there is one, to 60. So the amendment for 398 would prohibit you from getting the loan from VITA, for example, if you had received a grant from this program.
I was told this morning by the chair of Ag that this same amendment that we're seeing on 398 was put on S60 as well.
I believe a similar amendment was, I don't know, it's not my bill, so I don't want to affirmatively say.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So this, they're basically saying if you get one, you can't get the other on both of them. But I just think that's overly punitive.
I hate tying hands on something that's this broad. I mean, I do remember when they were concerned about army worms. They could decimate a cornfield overnight. This is when my daughter was working for the extension.
Wow.
It's like a plague of locusts. They just come through and their crop is gone. Or you can have a frost and it might just hit apple orchards in one valley.
Yeah.
For them, it's devastating. For the rest of the state, We got apple blossoms.
It seems to me like we could put something in there that says shall take into
That's
consideration,
what I was thinking.
but not
Yeah.
completely prohibit it.
Yeah, cause, yeah,
Do a further amendment, or do you want to committee comments?
what we can do is concur with further proposal of amendment, and that is we add and you can type it up and, I can say it on the floor tomorrow.
You just want the language to something like the VITA has to take into consideration whether the business has received other forms of financial assistance after the disaster.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
that date.
Right. And then it doesn't prohibit them from making an award, but they have to be like, oh, they got a grant, maybe they're not the priority. But if they had huge losses, maybe they are the priority.
Okay,
I will go draft and pick them.
I think it's awesome. Somehow I think Vina might think of this all on their own, but
I know, exactly, same, I was like, really?
we need to micromanage. So, since they put that there and said no, we should, if we're not comfortable with that, we should do the further proposal, which says you'll consider other loans, grants that they have received. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Anybody get a thumbs down on that one? Okay,
Okay.
so tomorrow,
Give it up.
I will stand up and say, we have discussed, who was the reporter for this? bill?
That's me.
It was you. You could stand up and say, they heard enough today. And I've got to get up and say, oops, I missed the, section on 23andMe. What happens? I was going fast and I missed it. But, Wendy picked it up, or I wouldn't have. So I will stand up tomorrow and do my mea culpas and explain this just says what happens to your, if you send your genetic information to 23andMe, your insurance company can't buy it from them when they go into a bankruptcy sale. So.
If you need anything else, let me know. Otherwise,
Yes, thank you.
have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, Cameron.
Always a pleasure. There were jelly beans last time I was here,
Yeah.
but
Oh, I brought them home.
There are
Good to bring-
cookies in the LG
Bring more
office
next
that you need.
I
some
went into the
sweets.
boys' room and there's still packages of witch and ghost shaped pretzels in there. I sent my grandsons.
Oh.
Oh,
I go in there as seldom as possible. And I went in to clean it out this week and I said, there's the box and they haven't eaten all those pretzels yet. Oh, geez, what's the matter with them?
Kirby got called to Houseways and Means, but we thought he would be here shortly.
Okay, we will take a short break.